Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. Before we start off, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me and see the presentation clearly. You have some emojis at the bottom. Send me some thumbs up to indicate that everything is working well, please. Okay, good. Seems you're all ready to go then. Perfect. So firstly, I want to thank you for joining us today in this Fast Track webinar session. I am Yolanda, and I am a solution consultant here at Fast Track. I must mention that last week, my colleague Adam delivered an exceptional session around how to use the singularity model and build hyper-personalized CRM strategies. The response and the interest we received after that session was amazing. And we started receiving, though, a number of questions around different topics. And these topics were, how extensive is your segmentation model? How can we customize it? How easy it is to seamlessly credit bonuses through Fast Track CRM? It became evident that these topics needed further attention. And for this reason, we have an exciting session lined up for you. Automate cashback using real-time calculated segment fields inside of Fast Track CRM. Talking about Fast Track CRM and why we are here, Fast Track is on a mission to digitalize the iGaming industry and deliver the first self-learning engagement platform. Our promise is to deliver excellence, flexibility, and efficiency. In that perspective, I think it's important to mention that when it comes to Fast Track platform, it's a platform that has been built from iGaming people to iGaming people. But then what does it mean when it comes to delivering an effective cashback promotion? What does it mean when it comes to us understanding your challenging? We can understand your challenges because we have been there as well. Now, there are many challenges that many operators faces in that perspective when it comes to delivering an effective cashback promotion. But to understand those challenges, and we need to firstly understand how the data flows inside of Fast Track. Now, maybe there are some of you in the audience that have been already in our webinar session, and you might be already familiar with this slide. Now, this slide is a visual representation on how the data flows inside of Fast Track CRM. Now, it's quite a comprehensive slide, so let me guide you through it, starting off from the left side corner. We would receive the real-time data stream from your end, but what are you sending in that real-time data stream? In that real-time data stream, you're sending to us any player information. When it's about a player is winning, a player is losing, a player is performing a login or a deposit, whatever you would like. As soon as the information reaches Fast Track real-time data platform, it's used in two ways: the real-time data warehouse and the real-time data model. Both of these are equally important. One, it's used to feed your CRM, and the other one, it's used to feed your third-party platforms. And it's important to have them both to make sure that we have accuracy across the board. But it's only when the information is reaching Fast Track CRM that the action is happening. Inside of Fast Track CRM, you have the capability to orchestrate multiple activities together thanks to our functionality, lifecycle automation. Now, what is lifecycle automation? We took customer journey builders, so some of you might be more familiar with that terminology, and we have rebuilt it into something that is more flexible, looking at how a player actually behaves within a brand. I'm not going to focus on how that works because we will have some time that we can spend on it when we are inside of the demo. Now, looking at lifecycle automation, you see that we have all of these little bubbles here. These little bubbles represent all of your activities that are well orchestrated together. Now, what happens though inside of an activity? Inside of an activity, you can manage multi-channel orchestration. We are now at the right side of the screen. Inside of this activity, you can send your email, you can trigger a push notification, you can send an SMS to do retargeting. You can credit a bonus thanks to the multiple seamless bonus integrations that we have in place. You can integrate with your site CMS and you can trigger an on-site notification, or down to the level of integrating with your gamification and establishing engagements with your players through that. We usually get the question like, how does this happen? Like, how do we offer all of this? Fast Track is designed to be a centralized platform, and we can be as flexible as you need. So you can handpick and choose whatever kind of provider that fits your requirements. Within that same activity, you can activate the singularity model and prioritize the time, the offer, the channel, and the content just in one click. This is how easy it is. A lot of you might not have a CRM solution with all of these functionalities, and this doesn't surprise me. I have the opportunity to speak daily with operators, and from this conversation, it has become evident that there are common challenges and gaps that many faces. And these challenges arises especially when there is a CRM strategy that is run completely manually, or else an old generation of CRM is in place. And maybe in today's audience, there is someone here that is still working in that way. The process of delivering a cashback promotion should be really, really simple. However, I still get shocked every time I hear the number of challenges operators need to face when implementing a cashback promotion. Now, these kind of challenges lead to such a lengthy time-consuming processes, which often looks like you need to export that list of players with the information that you need, which might be, I need the list of players who lost, who won, and how much. Then probably that information takes up to 24 hours for that to be processed. And in the meantime, you will need to involve multiple teams. And this is not only affecting you from an efficiency perspective, but as well, logically, from a cost perspective. Then you will need to upload that list of players of the information that you have just retrieved in multiple platforms that you require to be able to action upon that information. And then you find yourself in repeating this process over and over again. Logically, this exposes you to human error, and it can lead you to a poor player experience. Why? Because you are risking to delay your bonus crediting. Now, in today's session, we will address all of these challenges heads on, and we will showcase how easy it is for the brands that are in Fast Track today, how to build an effective cashback promotion by using calculated segmentation field. Now, before we dive into this, I think it's important to mention that when it comes to the way that we handle it, you do not need to do any manual setup. You do not need to go into multiple platforms. You will do everything in a very seamless way inside of Fast Track CRM. Now, when it comes to a cashback offer, what are we doing in here? The objective is to incentivize players to play on a Saturday and on a Sunday, so that then we can reward them on a Monday morning, depending on how much they lost throughout the weekend. Usually, and I'm sure that many of you already knows, in order to do so, we use NGR as a metrics. Now, what we're going to do today, though, is that we're going to see how we can seamlessly enable this process inside of a lifecycle automation, where we're going to enroll our players on a Friday. We're going to then remind them on a Saturday, hey, like you have an amazing promotion here. And then on Monday morning, we're going to automatically release these funds. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to switch in a seamless way from the presentation to the demo environment, so we can actually look at how do we do it. Now, the screen is up, so before we go into it, just make sure that if you can't read everything on the screen or it looks a bit small, try to zoom in as much as you can and to pin it to your screen. Now, here we are on the login page of Fast Track CRM. you can always keep up with our new webinar series and what is coming. Now, we're going to log in inside of Fast Track. What we're going to look at today is we're going to do a demo on 3 main core steps to actually reach what we have just spoke about, like how to create an effective cashback promotion. Now, the first core step that we're going to look at is something that we do behind the scenes. So we are setting the ground to make sure that these work. So the first step is to actually look at how do I create a calculated segment field. I'm going to explain in a minute what that is, to create that percentage of cashback that I want to give to the players. You will do this once, and then you don't need to worry about it anymore. So to do so, you will go inside of the settings of Fast Track. So we're going behind the scenes, and you will access what is called Manage Segment Fields. Once you do so, you are now accessing the settings of your segmentation model. Before we dive into it, segmentation is such a wide topic, right? So we're not going to go as much as in detail in that perspective today, but it's important to mention that Fast Track wants to make you autonomous as much as possible. So you do not have any kind of struggle in that perspective when it comes to customizing your own segmentation, or you don't need a developer to actually go in here and create the calculations or the smart segments that you need. You'll do everything in a very easy way. Now, inside of the setting page, what can you see? Let's give some context to this page. Inside of the settings, you can find what is called smart segment. So smart segments allows you to predefine those rules that you need to reuse very often, such as what's a VIP for you, or what are the life cycle stages. You will create it just once, and then it will be part of your segmentation model. Then you have access to your overall segmentation model, and then you have access to calculated segment field. That is what we're going to focus on today. Now, when we look at calculated segment fields, it gives you the possibility to put together a number of data points, a number of segmentation fields, and make sure that you can create a calculation out of that in a very easy way. So we're going to click on New Calculated Segment Field. And then what we're going to create is, let's use this example. We want to give 5% cashback to our players that played on a Saturday and a Sunday, and then reward them on a Monday. So now we're going to give a name that is something that is understandable for everyone. And we're going to give a label, same thing, make sure that your team can understand what you're typing. And then we're going to give a description as well. Of course, you will then need to define what kind of field type are we looking at. And then you need to make sure that the field is actually enabled for that to be part of your overall segmentation. Once you do so, you have access to 2 core functionalities here. Now, even though Fast Track is designed to be accessible and actionable for everyone, we want to make sure that if you have the knowledge, if you have the capabilities, you can come in here and feed your segmentation field with your own SQL query. Or else, what we're going to look at today is that you can use our formula builder to do so. You don't need any developer to do it. You just come in here and you decide, okay, what is the formula that I need? Now, in this view, you have access to all of the calculation signs, and then to your overall segmentation model. We said that in order to create that cashback percentage that we want to provide, we're going to use NGR as a matrix. And the calculation is going to look at something as sum of NGR in the past 2 days times how much you want to give to your players. In this case, 5%. Once you're done, you have the capability as well to test on a specific user ID, on a specific player, your calculation actually works. Okay, we are happy with the result, and we're going to add this inside our segmentation. Now, our calculated segment field is now created. Now, we have looked at the first core part of our demo. Let's look at the second step. What do we want to do? Now, we have worked behind the scenes. We want to automate the overall process of enrolling a player on a Friday, reminding them on a Saturday, and then releasing the funds on a Monday morning. For this purpose, we're going to use a lifecycle automation. We have created a lifecycle automation for this session. And let's explain a little bit more now, like the structure of a life cycle, so that everyone, even who's new to the solution, can actually understand how we use our orchestration tool. When it comes to life cycle automation, you will always have two main core steps: define structure and define activities. In define structure, you will have the capability to actually build the bow of your life cycle. And then in define activities, you can establish what kind of engagement you want to have with your players. What do you want to actually do? How you're going to action them. Looking at define structure and what do we have inside in the screen, you will always have at the top an entry condition, which is going to define who are the players that are going to take part of your life cycle in absolute real time. And then you will always have an exit condition. Now, when it comes to exit condition, we have two ways of managing this. An exit condition can be something as we're doing in this case, some like number of days after the player has entered the life cycle. Another type of exit condition can be, I want the player to exit the life cycle as soon as the player performs this action. You can look at the exit condition as an objective that you want to reach with that specific life cycle. And you can have multiple objectives if you want to. And in that way, it means that you can diversify the way that the player exits the life cycle and what are the next steps for them. Then you have what happens within the life cycle. So when are you engaging with the players? These when are represented by these tracks here that you can see. We have 3 different tracks right now. And then you have the possibility to narrow down your audience, to split the audience how many times you want. But let's keep it easy for today. Now let's go into define activities because we want to get into the case of actually setting up this life cycle. So the entry condition is we want all of our players to be enrolled into this life cycle. Your entry condition looks something like a mix of your trigger condition and your segment condition. In this case, we are making the players enter this life cycle every Friday at the optimal time of the day. So this is a clear sign that we're doing this action right now and you won't need to redo it anymore. This will happen every Friday. And if you want, you can always like have a segmentation that is different than all of your players. Maybe you want to target like a specific group. Then the first action that we're taking is, okay, it's the optimal time of the day on a Friday, and immediately I'm going to enroll the players by sending a communication. Now, I've just clicked, just for everyone clarity, on this blue box, and this blue box represents what activity are you triggering, what are you sending out. So we are now sending an email to invite our players to enjoy our weekend cashback. So play your favorite game on Saturday and Sunday, and on Monday at 10 a.m., we will give you a fantastic 5% cashback on your losses. So that's right, even if luck is not on your side, we've got your back. Now, let's go to the next step. So all of your players received the email. Now it's Saturday at the optimal time of the day. What happens after? On Saturday, we're going to send them a reminder. This reminder will serve as a gentle nudge to make sure that you can maximize the participation. So, hey, like, don't miss your weekend cashback bonus. This is the perfect way to turn any setbacks into a winning start of the week. Now the action happens though. Now is where we actually need to narrow down our segmentation, and we will need to look only at the players that have lost throughout the weekend, because this is what we're going to do on a Monday, right? So now we are at the stage where we're looking at the third core step of our demo. The third core step is, if you remember the calculated field that we have created at the beginning, I'm going to show you how easy it is to incorporate that calculated segment field inside of your life cycle. So on Monday at 10 a.m., this is how your condition looked like. You will have your trigger, which is, okay, on Monday at 10 a.m., but then I want to engage only with the players that have lost, so that the sum of the NGR in the past 2 days is greater than 0. So anyone who has positive NGR. What are we doing at this stage? How do we incorporate that calculation? When you click on your activity block here, you will have your trigger, as we've seen before, your segmentation, and then you have access to what is called action group. Action groups represent how you are engaging with your players. You will click on add new action, and you will have access to different types of action types depending on what we have scoped out at the beginning of your integration. In this case, we need the action, which is credit cashback. We click on credit cashback, and here, what is simply requesting to you is, okay, what is the amount of cashback that you want to give to the players that have actually lost throughout the weekend? So you click on it, you write an hash, and then here you have access to all of those calculations that you have created behind the scenes. In this case, we have selected our calculated segment field. We save, and the system on a Monday morning will retrieve that information. We will do the calculation for you without having to use multiple systems, and we'll receive the cashback at the right time to all of your players who have lost. So we have seen how seamless it is, right? But there are three key core aspects that allowed us to be successful in doing so. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to switch to the presentation again so that we can summarize what we have just seen. So give me 1 second again, and we can jump back to the presentation. So what we have just seen is we have enrolled the players on a Friday, reminded them on a Saturday, and we have released the cashback on a Monday morning. What made this possible? What allowed us to do everything inside of one central system without having to involve multiple resources to upload lists or involve developers? The three key aspects to optimize all of this process is having real-time data feed to make sure that all of your cashback promotions are always backed up by the most up-to-date information. The second core element is having an extensive segmentation capability as a CRM. We believe in empowering you to create your own path. So that's the reason why our platform has such extensive segmentation capabilities. So we allow you to not be pre-stacked into any predefined models and to be able to actually create dynamic segmentation in that perspective that you can go and customize on the fly. And the third core element is seamless bonus integration. You can say bye to manual crediting. Thanks to Fast Track and the centralized platform, you will have the capability to credit the bonus as we have just seen today. Now, this is everything from me, all that I wanted to tell you about how to effectively deliver cashback to your players. So in that perspective, we have some time now to actually focus on your questions and what you would like to ask. So I'm going to open the questions, and we are ready to start with that. I will try to answer all of your questions today. If there is anything which remains unanswered or anything which needs the attention of our tech team, don't worry, we will make sure to follow up with you with the answers. Any questions? If I have 8 individual tiers, so I'm answering this one, let me highlight it. If I have 8 individual tiers, making it 8 individual segments, does that mean that I need to set up 8 life cycles as each tier gets different percentage, or do I set up one master life cycle and then add 8 new calculated segment fields? Konstantin, answering your question, your second option is the right one. So you will have the capability to manage your overall cashback automation within one life cycle and have the capability to create 8 different calculated segment fields with the different percentages that you want to allow to your players. Now, second question here, do you have specific providers you are integrated to, or can you choose someone that is not integrated to you? Oh, 100%. So we are flexible as much as you want, as we were saying at the beginning. Of course, we have a set of providers that are already integrated with us, which our operators uses. But if you have specific needs, we are ready to address them. So as long as an integration is possible, as long as that service provider has an API that we can connect to, 100%, we can make it part of the suite. do you provide any segmentation model as out of the box? Yes. So when it comes to Fast Track, we can provide you with an in-house segmentation model that we can give to you as out of the box. The segmentation model is really comprehensive and really extensive, and it covers many product verticals. However, as we mentioned, we do not want you to be pre-stuck into any predefined models. In that perspective, it means that if you are an operator that has already their own in-house segmentation model, we can transport that in-house segmentation model inside of Fast Track and make sure that you can even benefit out of ours and have more options. So even when we are live, after we're live, you have the possibility to add additional data points to that and be able to create segmentations as well on the fly, as we have just seen today. Let's go to the next question, which is this one. So can you help us to effectively automate phases with life cycles like we did today? Yes. So one thing that we didn't have the chance to look at is that we want to, in every section of Fast Track, we always give you something to start off from. And when it comes to specifically to life cycles, we give you some templates as out of the box to automate, as a suggestion to automate those most sensitive phases that can happen inside of a brand. One of those phases, for example, can be, okay, how do I get a player from NRC to NDC? Or how do I get the player from DC1, from deposit 1, and upsell to deposit 2? Then we can provide you with an automation template to actually automate your overall predictive churn prevention. And not only that, we can provide you as well with a data model to cover that predictive churn prevention, but that automation is put on top to make sure that we can engage with the players when there is a change. So 100%, but again, you can always build your own from scratch. So now let's look at the other questions. There is a question from Christos, which is, if I want to limit the calculation of the cashback only on slot games, will I create a new calculated field casino_NGR? Yes, as long as your integration allows that to happen, you will narrow it down in the calculated segment fields in that perspective. Do we have any other questions? Okay, so it seems we're all good. So let's see. There is Constantine question here, which is, from what I understand, you have turnover as a variable for the segment. Is it possible, and does the system have the capability to pull lifetime data? Is there lifetime as a time frame? 100%, Constantine. Like when it comes to Fast Track, as we were explaining in the beginning, we would get the real-time data feed from your end. So as long as you hold that information and you have the capability to push that to Fast Track, or at least like the data point that make that calculation, we are able to support that. Now, I think we can get the last question for today. So there is, what is the optimal time of the day you mentioned before? Okay, for the ones who missed it, we had the last session, which was dedicated to the singularity model. So I highly suggest you to go and watch it so that you can get a comprehensive understanding of what we provide. But just to quickly summarize it, when it comes to Fast, we have what is called the singularity model. It's an engine that is based on behavior profiles and machine learning, and it allows you to establish true individual experiences with your players by prioritizing the best send-out time of the day, the best kind of content, or the best kind of offer. In that perspective, we have out-of-the-box functionalities, such as the optimal time of the day. So the optimal time of the day serves as a way to, instead of sending a campaign, let's say on Friday at 5 p.m., which is going to be the same for all of your players who are part of the campaign, the system is in a position to look at all of your players, at all of your audience of that campaign, and then have different send up times for each of your players. And the system will always continue learning about them to make sure that we are engaging with them at the relevant time today. So I guess we have answered a lot of questions today. Any questions that is inside of the Q&A section now, which remained unanswered, you will get a follow-up email with all of the answers that you need. So thanks, everyone. It was a pleasure having this session for you today, and I hope that it was useful for you. See you next time. Bye-bye.